Hi guys, it is Miss Polly. It's nice to see you guys again. I decided to go live today. I know I have a lot of new subscribers, so I've been dropping the ball a little bit about getting some content up. So I apologize for that. I definitely don't want you guys to think I'm just skipping out because my whole concept, okay, this year was to be a little bit more consistent. So even though I've been on some YouTube channels, hopefully you guys been checking me out on those platforms. But I've been on knowledge relationships a few times, not so much. Angry Man, he has a show also. I've been on a few of his panels in the evening. And also, I'm kind of looking into kind of opening up my platform. So if you're new here, hello. We talk about everything between relationships, between food, between family, between businesses, between lovers, and all those great things. And we talk about how we can make those relationships better, of course, better, of course. And my specialty is obviously in poly. So we do talk about uh, poly relationships a lot and how those relationships, since you're dealing with more than one relationship all the time, obviously you have more experience with that. And if you're interested in getting into poly, please hit me up on Instagram. Same as Polly Wright. And what we could do is have a conference. I do good on consultations, and my consultations are fairly low right now because I want to make sure people just get entry level information and kind of work through some of those kinks. Those usually are about like $25. It's really entry level. Like I said, for like 30 minutes to an hour, just to get some background and then kind of talk about it if you're interested. That if it goes further than that, we can get you on a plan, all kinds of things. So thank you for joining today. Today we're going to talk about finances in poly and in relationships. Now, the reason why I'm going to say poly and in regular relationships because finances play a big role in relationships in general. And to have your finances in disarray is a lot of reasons why people get divorces. Let's just be honest. Most people are like, peace. You know what I'm saying? They deuce out when finances aren't right. Now, I'm not saying everybody's got to be a pro. I know you may not be a pro, and that's okay and understandable. But having basic financial information, knowledge is going to help you go further in life. Even making little changes financially will help you in the long run because you can be someone who's broke, but trying to work on finances will help you even achieve goals that you thought you weren't able to achieve. So we definitely want to look at that. So a lot of people ask, how does finances work in poly? Because that's like one of the biggest questions I get asked. And then a lot of times I know I breathe like that. What is going to get long winded? But a lot of times there's different kind of poly dynamics. Now we all know polygamy, as you know, there's a man with multiple women. In those kind of constructs, you'll have a man who's supposed to be technically or financially already stable. Basically, he's supposed to have it already laid out. He's supposed to be able to financially support more than one wife and more than one child, especially in a state of them not working. That's what it really is supposed to be, in the state of them not working outside the home. Or if they are working, because we're in a more modern age, if they are working, a lot of times they're supposed to be working with their partner on building up their kingdom and uh, their constructs. So if they have their own business, then the woman maybe would do the finances of that part. Whatever she does is supposed to be putting back into the home. So that's the idea. So even if the woman is educated and she, does want to go to school, she would learn something that would help apply to what's happening in the home or for the business, for the family business, so they could do that together. Or she could be even a person who works for the family business, and that way she can do something to contribute to the house, even though it's not in her home, it's still contributing to the overall family. So that's really what that's supposed to do. So in that idea, polygamy sounds like, oh, okay, that sounds like we're building. So all you hear a lot of times when you hear polygamy is build. We're here for financial stability and blah, blah, blah. Now, I won't talk about polygamy that much because I do love the gentleman to give their whole spread because they have a whole thing behind it. And that's important for them to push that. So if you are in a polyandry situation, though, that changes everything. And then that kind of throws people off. So polyandry is the woman who is basically the main focus of the relationship. And then there's several, or, several men. And in that situation, they say, well, how does that work? Because there's more than one man, and they will struggle. No, no. The idea of more than one man is not that they're going to struggle for power. The idea is not that we're going to be fighting. Is basically the idea is that two big heads of companies, right, have decided to collab together to form something larger than themselves. It is like seeing Bill Gates hang out with Warren Buffett. They are not fighting each other for who gets more money. They're not arguing them this and that. What they have is built a plan together to make something successful. And with those two, they will make that successful, and then they will pour into their home. And the wife is to build that home. That is really what the idea looks like. It's not the woman going out and changing her role, and she's the one working while the men stay home. Now you will see that a lot of the times, which is another lovely discussion that will be coming soon, which is poly by nations. And I wanted to discuss how there are a lot of women who are Caucasian, not all of them, but there's a lot who go to other countries like Africa and so forth, and they are bringing back men, and then they are actually having the men stay home or be men who are going to be in a lower financial class than them, and they're making all the rules and all that. So that is a different dynamic. And even if you see it in poly, I do have an example I will show you at that time, but of a man who is Black, who comes from another country or from here, and there are several women who are with him, and what they'll do is they'll pay for the lifestyle he lives, and that would be what it is. That happens. It happens with Caucasian women and Black women, but for the most part, where you see it very, very successful is with Caucasian women and Black men. So I don't know why, but that's just what it is. So we can get to that construct later on poly by nations. But for the most part, when you see finances in polyandry, that's what it should look like. It should look like two men financially supporting their home. I'm not saying the woman supporting their home, because they will be living there. They will, if they're not living there, if they're in two different homes, they're supposed to be able to support themselves and support a lifestyle for their woman, and their woman may be going to work also. So that's something that is discussed privately. So that is one thing I will say. When it comes to finances in poly, other than polygamy, because they're a little bit more stricter, you may want to talk to someone. Once again, you are new into poly, and even if you're not new and you don't know your way around, ask people who know. And there are lots of people who give out information like myself, and who can share with you how it looks and what you're looking for, because we all don't poly the same way, and we all don't run our houses the same way. And that doesn't matter if you're poly or not. Even if you're monogamous, no one runs their house all the same. So what works for you will work for you. And talking to someone about what works for you is probably the best thing. Okay? We all love YouTube videos. Yes. Can they help you get an idea of what you could try? Absolutely. But is it a firm fist on what to do? No. So when you're looking at polyandry, don't think when you see two men and a woman, automatically, oh, these men are just giving this woman all this money and she's free to do whatever she wants and get more men. That usually is not the case, especially for polyandry women. They actually have a lot of more strict guidelines. I'm going to call them guidelines and boundaries, because their partners already are in a position. And I'm not saying everyone loves to be monogamous. How can I explain this? So being a man in a polyandry situation, it can be stressful, especially if you're transitioning. If you already have the mind that doesn't bother me, I don't care what anybody thinks, this is me, I'm okay with loving more than one person, and my partner loving more than one person, we'll have no problem. But if you're transitioning from monogamy into poly, and you've never done that, it can be a lot to take when other people around you come in and talk to you about that. Hey, Chef, how are you today? Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad you took the time to see me today. Now, yes, and Chef is one of my lovely, 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 lovely. I will say Patreons, but I do love to go over there, and he's very supportive of of me and what I've done. So I really appreciate that. Okay, so I'll get back to the comments in a moment, but you definitely want to, when you see two men and a woman, don't automatically think that this woman's just having the greatest life. A lot of times the women too, depending on the situation, may live more like a person who is by themselves, financially speaking, because it is important for her to show that she can also contribute to the home also, not only in those other fashions, especially if they don't have children yet, especially want to show that she can contribute something else to the home. So a lot of times when you see that kind of dynamic, it's going to be a little different. There are some women in that dynamic also who will be very on the front line for their partners. If they have two partners who work and she doesn't work, you'll see her doing a lot of homemaker things. She's going to be a housewife, basically. She's going to be ironing. She's going to be getting people organized. She's going to be making dinners, making sure this is that. She's going to go do that footwork times two and probably be very happy about it. Okay, so let me check these comments out here. Most men especially, one says most women especially, let me just go ahead and pull you up here. Okay. Especially those who practice polygamy assume women are paying the man. Right. This is the issue. It's like you're paying the man to do these, this, and that, and it's not always true. Oh, you're watching for work too? Okay. So a lot of people are watching for work. That's awesome. I appreciate you guys for taking a moment and glancing at me, right? Okay. So I hope that'll help you if you're working home and you can listen. That's awesome. So absolutely. I think what happens in dynamics, people think somebody's always paying somebody. Okay. Now, there are situations, especially in the atmosphere we're in, where a lot of people aren't working full time. A lot of people aren't working this and that. And this is true. And now a lot of people, is there a lot of jobs available? Of course there are. A lot of people are a little bit more pickier about the jobs. COVID opened people's eyes to being misused and mistreated as an employee. So a lot of people don't want to go back into that dynamic of being mistreated, and they don't want that. So they'll choose what kind of, and employers are having to up the pay and change all kinds of things. And of course, they're sneaking. They find ways around getting what they want, of course. But this is something people are looking into, getting their own businesses started. This was a big change. So now you may have a partner who's trying to start a business and their business is slow right now because they just started, or they've been in a year. A year for a business is actually very, very young. That's a baby still. You probably don't even see a profit until I think a lot of people say year one, after year one. So this is a big thing. So you have to put that in consideration. Some people have relationships that are unconditional. And that's how I function. I'm an unconditional person at this stage in my life. I don't want my love to be in a conditional fashion. And finances is one of those conditions, which is a big part of relationships, even in monogamy. Finances play such a large role in making decisions. And I feel like it's not bad to have those thoughts. Okay, are we going to be okay? But I don't want that to be the only reason. I don't want to be that person who is supporting. They say, "Oh, you're supporting this guy in his dreams, and he never does anything." No, I'm not talking about that, because that is really a personality trait. Someone who wants to try something and is getting up and doing this, and every day going out and looking for a job, but they want, if they decide to do their own business, they're getting up every morning and they're being very consistent. Consistency will show productivity. That's just what it is. Even if it's still going to show productivity, because the consistency. Okay, so when you have someone who's starting a business and they're missing meetings, they're not looking into things, they're not studying. Even if the business is going bad, they're not studying to figure out what they're doing wrong so they can fix it. They're not taking the additional steps it takes to actually have a successful business. Because if something's wrong or something's not working, you find out why it's not working and change it, right? So you want to get people who are like that on your team. You want to see someone like that. If you don't see that energy in them, that's a problem. if you're dealing with someone with a lot of mental stuff going on, I'm not saying right away to say like they were fine at first and all of a sudden they've gone through depression, their parents died or whatever. So you have to kind of, for me, I think that being in your perfect state all the time is not always the best thing to fall in love with. So people, let me give an example of what I mean by that. So everyone says they put their first foot forward, right? You put your best foot forward. You look the part, dress the part, talk the part, all that. You put a lot of effort into that, right? You put an effort into working out every day, blah, blah. And a lot of people, this is what happens. Once they get the goal, which is the person they want to marry, the person they want to be with, they slowly decline on those things because the goal has been met. There no longer is anything pushing them to stay at that level. And that's where you see people men say, oh, women, once they get you, they'll just let it go. Because the goal has been met. There's nothing pushing them. They're like, well, keeping me is a different goal. Yeah, that's a different goal. But a lot of women think, well, I got you, and now you have me, and now this is what you get. And that's what that contract of marriage is. So someone can put an effort into doing this, and you may not even do it on purpose as the person actually doing it. You be putting this work to look good. These girls go out here and be like, oh, I'm going to look my best because I'm in my 30s and I want to get married. I'm look my best. I'm changing my attitude, my mindset. Okay. And then when they get a man and then they get married, they hit the goal and it declines because life doesn't change. Daily life doesn't change. But your goals change. So then what happens when the goal is no longer to be married because you're already married? Now what? When the goal changes, you start changing because all the stuff you deemed important. Now, some people transition and say, oh, to keep him, I got to work out. I got to keep cooking. I got to be consistent. They may think, but most people aren't going to do that because the goal has been hit. So when you get married, that's why I love, there was a man, I heard him say that a lot of people, reason why marriages fail, because a lot of people think marriage is the end goal, but it actually is the beginning. And that is true. Marriage is only the beginning of a life with someone, right? So you're not getting married and then, oh, everything just keeps being pleasant. No, that's when the work starts. It's basically you're prepping or preparing for a job. And then when you get married, you got the job. And now you have to apply all that stuff to the job to keep it. And some people just want to get the job and then they don't continue to put in the work they did to keep it. They just, that's it. And that happens. And that happens. And just to be honest with yourself, you know that happens. And sometimes changing goals, changing your mindset. And that's why I personally, when I say unconditional love, I want to like your bad. And that's why I think vetting is very, very important. I want to like your bad. And when I see your bad and I am okay with that, ain't nothing we can't do. Nothing we can't do. Because I already know what bad looks like. Okay? So back to finances, because we don't want to get too far off. When it comes to financially, when you're in a polyandry situation, just realize that's what usually happens. The men and the women are usually unified in a plan to contribute. Now, sometimes, because if they're not poly men and a transitional man, sometimes what happens in this situation is that a lot of times households and things like that don't function in a poly way because America's not built like that. So, buying homes and thinking about bedrooms and how would that look and all that. You'll think, okay, do we need two houses? Do we need one house? Do I go one house to that house? Or we all have one home? It starts to, you might have to figure some things out. But financially, you may think, okay, well, we'll have a house built our own way. Okay, well, that means someone else got to put in money. So they work more as a whole, as a team, to figure out how things work. There's a lot of teamwork where everyone's contributing ideas. Now, polyamorous people who is building your own relationships, they can look many different ways. Polyamorous relationships, usually you're going to see a lot of behavior that mimics solo financial things because not all partners are in a situation where they want to contribute equally. There are parent partners who are long-term partners who are committed all the way. They may be in the home, nesting partners who live with the partner. You may have two nesting partners, and then you might have one outside the home. He has his own life. He does his own thing. It's not like he doesn't want to be with the person he's with. I think that's the indicator right there. Everyone freaks out. Oh, well, he's not living with you, so he doesn't want to build a life with you. America wasn't made to have anything with multiple partners, even in polygamy. They weren't built that way. So the idea of having partners who want their own space, especially men, men don't want to be on top of other men, especially when they're grown men. Grown men don't want to sit up in the old men unless they are in bisexual relationship with another man. They're not going to want to share a room with another man. Most likely that's not going to happen. So you're probably going to have a house with 2-3 bedrooms. That's just for the parents. If you have children, you see what I'm saying? You're going outside that realm. And I know a lot of people are like, well, why do you even put yourself in that situation? This is why you shouldn't even be posed. That's too much to think about. Okay, listen, what we said was America wasn't built for families in large families like that. It just wasn't. You go other places, they have families who have that many bedrooms. I promise you will see it. Or they know, okay, all the kids sleep in these 3 rooms. The girls on the side. Like, it's a different setup. It's because they know that there's people with multiple partners. 83% of the world's probably higher now. 83% of the whole world is poly in some way. Okay. And I'm not even counting polyandry. Polyandry is zone separate. And I know that number has definitely gone up. It's 3%. So, and that statistic was taken a while ago. It's not too long, but a while ago. And I know that now, since polyandry is actually legal in South Africa, at this point, now they can legally document it. They weren't able to document it before. So that now there's a way to document it in at least one location. And so that number is probably going to rise. So basically, you have like over 90% of the world. Let's just hit 90 because we'll be cute today. 90% of the world is poly in some way. Those other places who recognize that, they know that. And they know there's houses that have Billy over there. They know. It's not like weird to them. And that's what's hilarious. So here in America, it's built for single family homes. Multiple family homes. You don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, basically, I think the best idea, and this is my idea because I've thought about it before, having like a duplex, and then like you have kids, and maybe like, maybe you want to share an evening on either side of the house, but everybody has food in one house. Have you ever seen something? There's a show that came out, and the guy, I forgot what it's called right now, but basically he had 3 houses lined up on the street, and each house was one of his wives in it. They had their own individual houses, and the backyards were open. There was no fence or nothing. And they all had the backyard that he could go in the backyard to one to another, so nobody saw him coming in and out. The houses in the front, but in the back, he just go where he wanted to. I mean, that's just because he had to hide it. But these are things you think about when you're poly, because you're like, well, if we have really big families, that's why a lot of people say they want to build their own constructs. Because if I could just build my own house on some land, then I can make it look the way I like it to look, and I can have it a certain way so everyone has their own space. And which is another conversation we'll have soon, is the importance of your own space in poly, and not only thinking about just being with your partners all the time, because we have to remember that we all have our own time, our own personal space that we enjoy. And I think that's important even in monogamy, to have your own space. And somebody said, normalize having your own bedrooms. I think that's, half y'all snore, y'all want to be with someone who snores. Half y'all you attract the opposite partner. One partner is really, really dirty, the other one's not. Imagine if you did. I was monogamous and I was thinking that. I was like, I can't live with you. I cannot live with you. How much you can come visit all the time. Like, I'll come over every day. But I don't want to live with you. I don't like the way you live. I don't like the way you keep your house clean. And I'm not cleaning up after pigs. I can clean up after children, but not grown folk. Not grown folk. who are careless. So, okay, that's a whole nother story, but you know what I'm talking about. There's a difference between, oh, babe, I just left that because I didn't get a chance to put it up. I was running out the door. I threw some toothpaste up on the counter. No problem. But there's a difference between that and a man or a woman consistently leaving stuff all over the place. They have hair in the sink like every day because they're consistently doing it, just don't care. They see the sink may be dirty, they don't give a f. No, one was horrible. Somebody used to spit in the sink and spit in the shower, snot, and not wash it off. You know how aggravating that is. And I'd be like, so why? We're already in there. So why couldn't you just, like everyone's like, I bet someone's like, oh, that sounds crazy. Who you dated? Y'all know that y'all dated somebody who does crazy things. That are like, why did you do that? Why do you consistently do that? I want to fight you. That's when you know that you might want to fight somebody. It's when they do things that like that. And you look at them, you're like, listen, I'll choke you. You don't stop the foolishness. Okay. Yes, South Africa did legalize it. It is legal to be married to more than one man in South Africa. If you're looking into that, you can go there and at least be married legally somewhere. That sounds actually amazing. But like I said, I see polyandry. I see poly moving in a very legalized fashion. I think it is. Now, a lot of people are like, well, that's corrupt and all that. Actually, you're holding people accountable for being with more than one partner if you legalize it. So all that stuff you're worried about, oh, well, they'll just run around with everybody. They're not saying I want to run around there. They're saying this person, I want to be legally attached to. I want to be legally married to. They're making themselves responsible for the people they're deciding to be with, which makes sense. So now the question really would be how to divide things when things are divided. Now, I can see them putting in something like where, okay, well, everything you walked in with, you guys, making it that they have a poly special marriage agreement where, like, when you walk into this agreement, walking in on the same day, if you're already married, you're adding someone to your marriage, that it's like a, oh gosh, what's it called? Amendment to your marriage, and basically you will get married again as three, and it's a different marriage, and that marriage construct will include everyone in it, and then it also will have maybe a clause where, like, if the main two decide to separate, that the other two that are still in the marriage, if they're still together, if it comes to money, they will have or they can even do a premarital discussion about finances. And so finances are a really big thing, and a lot of people worry about it because do you want to divorce someone? Are you, especially polygamy, if you divorce your wives, will you have to pay for both people? And so this is what I mean by it will actually hold people more accountable ×2. So it actually would work better because if you get married to one woman, you're already like, oh, I don't want to get a divorce because, oh my God, I have to pay for child support for all these kids and blah, blah. But now you get married to two women, you would have to financially be responsible, especially if they don't work, for both of them, and then both of them be married to get child support, whatever. So actually would hold them to a higher standard to continue to have this relationship work. And then also I would put in something where they couldn't get it annulled for like 2 years. This is something that you have to work around. Now, this is a little bit stricter. I actually don't think you're allowed to unmarry your wives. I know people are like, well, then people will start killing each other. I mean, they're already killing each other. I mean, that's me being positive, but not. I have this dark humor for last 2 weeks. That wasn't a joke. That was like a serious comment. Okay. So let's pull up some more. Renaissance woman, I appreciate you today. Every day you call. Anyway, but I think the U.S. has the honor in marriage that's legal in another country. So they don't. They don't. And each state can do whatever the hell they want to do also. Because in some states, when they had it legal, they still were fighting it on a state level. So the law here is like, if you guys, if you want to really twist your brain, go look into some law and law stuff in America, because everything is like two levels. Obviously, it's state level, and then you go up to a national level. So there's just like obviously like two levels of things, and you would really want things from another state to be considered here, but not always. Not always. In state to state, they could fight it. Or they can just say, we don't care, we have our own rules. So you heard, what I've heard, but you don't know is all the way, but like Jim Crow laws are trying to come back in particular areas. And once again, that's a state level. You know, there are cities out here who still have the sundown. That's a state situation. So even though the United States says no, you'd have to fight it on a national level. And I'm saying national because I don't have the word right now in my mind for the other word, and you know. So, anyway, let me just drink this. I know people like, don't drink on live. I'm trying to tell you something, okay? I have a bad tooth, which is one of the reasons I haven't been on here. I've had a bad tooth. I need to get it pulled out. It's hitting the nerve that's like hurting it, like it's causes pain in my face, all up and down my face. So I have to actually get it removed. Unfortunately, I don't want to save it and then crap happen later. So it's the last, like one of the last teeth I have in the back, not last teeth. I said that to someone, they're like, you have no teeth. I mean, like, no, I have. Listen, I have teeth. It's just the last tooth that's in the back of the mouth. I think my mouth is short. Anyway, it's not the point. Not the point, okay? There's nothing to do with this, okay? Financially, when you're in polyamory and you're trying to figure it out, legally, hopefully they figure it out, but when we want to talk about finances back again to polyamory, people think that you're not dedicated to your partner because you're not giving them something, which is a conditional love, which I don't like. Because if my partner is not giving me something that others or most people deem tangible, then they are not worthy of me. And I am in the place in my life, and I feel like I am a little bit more emotionally mature than lots of people. And I think that for me, I don't want to be hindered mentally with my decisions based on financial needs. And I don't want that. And if it comes to it, I will assist you. Now, I'm not saying, now listen to me. I'm the person that says I'm not going to lead horses to water and they don't want to drink, but I will lead you there if you need help. But if you ain't drinking, boo, we're going to have some discussions. And this is the great thing about poly, I think people misunderstand too. So when someone's going through a tough time, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to deal with it because they're financially screwing up. And I'm at the place in my life where I'm trying to make this money. Okay, that's you. Let them have their moment, because you don't know. This is maybe the time they figure out stuff and they have a breakthrough in 8 months. And yeah, that sounds like a really long time, and it could be, but that is not for you to deem important or not. And now you don't have to say that. If you were financially thinking, I'm just taking care of myself. I think if we take care of ourselves and then contribute to something larger, that's wonderful. But when you're not really taking care of yourself or the things you're responsible for, and you're always relying on other people to fill in the gaps, then you're really just not standing on your own. Can you stand on your own? That doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man. Now, I know that all the ladies out here are like, girl, but he need to take care of me. Girl, I understand. You want him to take care of you. But I've been that lady. I don't like to be that lady. But I've been a lady where someone financially is able to support me. And I can't stay in that lane. Because unfortunately, the constructs of marriage, constructs of relationship were really built on this financial bonding, which was, hey, you marry me. And this is a long time ago, of course, everyone, that you're going to take care of me and I'm going to provide you with these services. And I don't mean just sex. I mean like I'm going to take care of your children. There is a process to that, right? It's an exchange of things, right? And that's just what it is. And even people say, well, don't you exchange this and that? But this is the thing. As human beings, there are some times I don't have any to give. Any to give, whatever it is. I don't have any to give. Are you going to be here when I don't have any to give right now because I've lost it? Because we can all get to that place. And this is where you have a lot of people lying, cheating, doing crazy things, because if they know that if they get to this place and they have nothing to give, that they feel even worthless than they already feel. And even if they haven't told you yet what it is that they can't give you, they already feel worthless. Now, if you find out that they can't give you what you thought they was going to give you, they're going to lose you too. And now that's going to make it even worse. You see what I'm saying? The connection you build with people, and I'm not saying this connection is for everybody, especially for anybody who's very sensitive or emotionally in a elevated place. The money and everything is really wonderful. It helps everything work a lot better. It's a lot less stressful. Of course it is. Everyone knows that. But if I'm in that stressful place and I can't get support to get me out mentally, and maybe even, like I said, maybe mentally, maybe even financially, but people give because they want to give. They want to give or pour into you. I need to know that you can understand that there's sometimes I can't give. And most people don't understand, like, oh, well, if you can't give me, then why are you here? And you're just like, wow. So now you're already in a place of not believing your worth. This is a very low place to be. And a lot of people don't care or don't really want to resonate with that, because at the end of the day, that could be you. And it probably has been you, but you were able to pull yourself out. Now, I'm not saying that there are some people who aren't in a place where they're just too far. And not everyone can handle someone in that place. I want everyone to hear what I'm saying. I'm giving examples of people who can just hold on, and it's really just because they keep people in their ear. Girl, you ain't supposed to, dude, you ain't supposed to. And you're like, well, I want to stay here because I feel like it's okay. I can handle it. But I mean, I might be irritated sometimes. I want to vent, but I can do it. And you have somebody in your mouth and in your ear going blah, blah, blah. That is what I'm saying. Because, yeah, things happen, all that, right? But this is what the importance of building good relationships with people. And what I mean by building good relationships is going into relationships with intent on who you would like to be in your life and what they can, but obviously bring. When I say bring something into this relationship, I mean, you know, the good and bad. Because I want to know what you're bringing that's bad too. If you have a lot of debts, I want to know, because in my mind, I'm making the option, or I'm making, the choice to deal with that. If it's too much for me and I can't deal with all that stress and thought, this is not a kind of relationship I want to be in, but I appreciate it. Being able to look at things, and I'm not saying accept people for foolishness, accept things you can't accept. There are some people who can, and there's some people who can't. And being respectful of the people who cannot, and not trying to force them by lying, deceiving, trying to cover up stuff is what you need to do. And that's what I try to really push. Is the message here is to build good relationships. If it's more than one, you definitely have to know how to deal with people and being able to work with things, because people are in the same place. Poly is, I think, the most interesting relationship structure, not because, oh, there's so much people and we're all doing these, we haven't said no. It's because you have to deal with multiple people, okay, And you have to also not deal with that, but you have to deal with the whole them. The whole them. I don't want part of you. I want the whole you. You know what I'm saying? And that's when people say, oh, build your partner, all that. I don't like that, because I don't want to build a partner. I want you in whole, the whole you. And it's very important to me. And if I can't have the whole you, I really don't want it. And I'm not the only one who thinks like this. I find it very hilarious because I hang around a lot of monogamous people, just to be honest. And when we talk about relationships and stuff like that, I don't hear myself. And then I feel like, oh, maybe I'm so alone in this. But then I'll hang around a lot of poly people when I go into platforms, and then, I can go on different areas. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are so amazing. You sound like me. These people do exist who want to love each other and just love each other. And do we all do it right? No, because we all need a little bit of help. We're not all loving each other the right way. And that comes from a lot of people being damaged and all kinds of things. And we want to work on those things. And sometimes it takes a little bit of help. Okay. So we want to keep running down the financial runway. Renaissance Woman. Anybody have any other questions prior to this? Let me take a moment here. I just want to make sure any other questions before we move on. Now I'm going to talk about solo poly a little bit. Solo poly is very important. Solo poly is one of the I don't connect with solo poly because, and the reason why is too much like being single, but I do some things that poly people do who are solo poly. It's kind of interesting. Solo poly is very interesting because it's basically where I'm just sharing this to my little page here. Solo poly basically is where you are. This is why I wanted to bring it up, because it's in the description. Solo poly basically means you are poly. You have multiple partners, but you are not financially connected to any of them, and you don't nest with partners, which means you don't like live with any other partner, and you don't make large or big decisions with any of those partners at all. You don't do it. So this is what's really interesting to me, because on a larger scale, you don't have to make those big things, right? Those big decisions. So that's really interesting. So let's go into that. I just sent out a message saying I am live so everybody can see it. Woohoo, woohoo. There's a couple people I wanted to just mention too while we just take a moment in the intersection here. Okay, so I want to shout out to Jen on the block, or on the block with Jen. I always say Jen on the block. Sorry. It's her fault. Anyway, on the block with Jen. Okay. Jen is amazing. Check out her channel. She has all kinds of different topics. She starts on Tuesdays till Saturday. She has Sunday and Mondays off. I'm on that panel quite a bit. We want to also hit up with Nikki, Miss She Said. Now, Miss She Said, she is also a content creator. She had been sick a couple months ago. Hopefully she is all well. Great content she puts out there. She's married. And so if you would like to get some more insight on someone who's married and a little bit more traditional, you hit them up. Both her and her husband have shows, and they're very wonderful. You guys check them out. Okay, I do want to hit up with Knowledge and Relationships. You guys know I go back and forth on their channel. Check them out, see what's up. And then finally, we're going to do like a little shout out for just a couple people. I want to hit up Russell Taylor Made Dreams. He has been putting out some really good content. He has a little bit of debate about Thai women and Colombian women. He also gives advice to men regarding relationships and outside of the U.S. If you're interested in that, he also gives out consultations on how to start those relationships. So this is a big thing. Okay, let me just check this out, guys. Just gonna make sure. Okay, sorry. Okay, that is great. Gotta check my messages. Very, very important here. All right, great. So I think we're gonna go on to solo poly. Here we go. Solo poly. Of all the polys there are, right? Solo poly is like that to me. Okay, so solo poly to me is like a college person's best option, because basically when you're a solo poly, you're not making big decisions with anybody. You're not having really to consult with anyone. You really, and it almost seems as if you're single. So solo poly, if you are a person who's not sure if you want to be with someone, and you're like, oh, but I want to have a relationship with them, because I hear this all the time. I want girlfriend energy, but I don't want a girlfriend. I want girlfriend energy, but I don't want a girlfriend. I want boyfriend energy, but I don't want a boyfriend. I admit, it's like, wait, what? And I even made a little meme about it because I thought it was hilarious. Because I was like, did someone just say that? They don't want a girlfriend, but they want girlfriend energy? How we do that? How you give girlfriend energy? And you don't, I mean, you want girlfriend energy, but you don't want a girlfriend. It's the crazy, and they do. There are men who want that kind of situation. Do I know why? No. I'm sending this to one more person here, guys. I don't know why, but it's very interesting. There are a lot of people who want that. So for anyone who wants that kind of stuff, please, okay, I want you to go become poly. Okay, that's all I want you to do. Go become poly. How you become poly? I want you to go out here and be honest to people and communicate what you want. That's the first step in saying you're poly, is being honest and truth to yourself, telling people what you want from them and what they can get from you. And what I mean by that is in general, so that they know I have the option to say yes or no. Okay, that's the first part. That's the first part of that. And then after that, I want you to, we're not giving out tips that easily, but yes, you have to go and change all your profiles to say that you are poly and this and that. And then if you like to know more, you can hit me up. That's what you write. Now for men, yes, no one's going to hit you up most of the time. Just being honest. For some reason, it is easier for a man who's poly to go into a real life situation and talk to a woman first in person. I don't know what that's about. The woman will be attracted to you. Lord praise him. I'm sounding like King and Dreams. Why? Women will be attracted to you. And then what will happen is you can then say, I am poly. When they say something about, hey, you got a girlfriend, you can say, well, I'm poly. I'm okay with these kind of relationships, but I'm actually solo poly. And this is what I expect and what I can give you. This is how you open up. Then a woman can make a choice and say, okay. Now for women, you put that on there, they down to ride and die and try to ride you like a wave and throw you to the dust. Be careful of that. It doesn't mean you're not going to find someone who is there, but you have to be prepared to have boundaries, because these men will take that. Sorry, guys. They're doing Balan. They will take that as an indication that you are open for play and possibly pay to play. You know what I'm saying? And no, we're not doing pay to play. So if you are solo poly, you got to watch out for men who just want to have sex with you and push you off to the side. That is a red flag. You do also want to, like I said, please contact somebody. I want y'all to be successful in your journey. But solo poly is usually for someone who doesn't want to make those kind of connections, or who wants to have girlfriend energy, boyfriend energy without having to commit all the way to the extent that monogamy tells you to do. Basically, monogamy tells you to cut off all your booze and friends and all that. It does. And y'all be like, no, it doesn't. It kind of does say that. Or anybody outside of who you already have. You can't really do all that. And if you move differently, that's an indicator of something's wrong, or you're cheating, or something's going on, and blah, blah, blah. It just, everything's a red flag. So if you don't want to be with people to that extent, I'm trying to explain this. Okay. So I've heard guys say, okay, I want a girlfriend. I want to hang out with her sometimes when I call her. I want her to, you know, come over sometimes, but I don't like actually want her to stay with me or try to live with me. You know, I don't want her over all the time, but it's cool she comes over. I don't want to like pay all her bills because like I don't live there and I have to take care of myself financially, whatever. If that is the kind of it keeps going, list keeps going. If that's the kind of stuff is going on, say no. No, okay. You just end up being solo poly. Because basically, when you're solo poly, you were able to go out here. You're not having to discuss, hey, you know what, Abe, I just want to buy this car. You don't got to talk. Who you gonna talk to? Nobody. You talk to you, and possibly a financial lender. This is what I'm saying. You're not gonna discuss that because it's not something that you're connected with. Your finances aren't connected. You're not gonna decide. Like if you decide that, who, you know, I think I might want to have a baby. You'll discuss that with maybe one of your partners, but you're not going to discuss that with anybody else because it ain't something that y'all decided to discuss. It is very single life living, but having partners, and they don't particularly pick one over the other. They may lean out one more than another one. It's a lot more freedom, especially financially. Especially, it's like basically they're living a life of a bachelor. That's what I can say. Because bachelors do have women that they're consistent with, and then they have a few that they're not that consistent with. But you know what I'm saying, this is why solo poly looks like just dating, and people get that confused. So if you see somebody who's talking about, oh, you know what, I'm solo poly. Solo poly does look like just dating, but they do want a commitment and a connection with someone. So they do want to know about you. They want to know about your dog and your kids, and that's cool. But will they like discuss like in debt with you? You know, how they're gonna contribute to something? No, they're not. Because that it depends on whatever they decide that is going to be shared, but they're not sharing their whole life with you. They have no plans to move in with you. There's not going to be a plan to build this larger idea. And a lot of people are like, well, what's the point of that? Like I just told you, I think solo poly really belongs with the younger group of people. I have seen older people be solo poly though. But what ends up happening is you'll have someone want to nest, and which happens in solo poly when you're doing it older, is that the older you get, you know, and it's just what it is. The older you get, yeah, even if you're traveling and all that, it's really nice to have companionship. And that's a big thing, especially if you're retiring age. Oh yeah, you may have fun going here and there and have a good time, but you like companionship and you want to enjoy someone's company. So you want to be involved in that. And a lot of times people will just start saying, hey, well, you know what? I would like you to be here a little bit more. And that will involve sometimes still maybe solo poly, but they'll allow you things like, okay, you can stay half the week at my house. I'll say it and stay the week at your house, things like that. So solo poly does look like dating. It looks like the beginning of dating stage all the time. That, I mean, it's you're just constantly in that state of, we just met and we're doing stuff together. Like, you don't ask me like questions about my money and all that. I might say I don't have something or I do have something, but it's not that deep. Okay. That's basically what it is. Hello, we black. It's lovely to see you. If you didn't hear me, and I know I have one viewer right now, which is Awesome Sauce. Awesome Sauce, and thank you guys. Share my video everywhere. Tell everybody that I'm amazing. So I did want to bring this topic up. So solo poly is a big one. I encourage people who are younger to be solo poly, and just even for beginners in poly, solo poly is probably the best one to start. Because you're not connected to anyone and those big decisions, but also same breath, I'm saying this, if you're a little bit older, 30 plus, definitely don't want to start in solo unless you already know that's what you want. If you are in solo poly a little bit older, people want to have more commitment. This is just the idea in 30 plus where most people are in their lives. They're thinking about what's going to be happening, how it looks in their lives. Solo poly is they're not there yet. So it's different when you're a little bit older. If you're a little bit older, I would tell you to think of a dynamic you would like to proceed into, and then we discuss how that goes. Okay, that's what I want to give you guys. Let me think of anything financially. What else I wanted to say? No. So the big things we've learned today, we'll bring it on back. First off, is that finances do not dictate someone's, someone's closeness to a partner. It does not dictate how serious a partner is in poly. It does not dictate, who will do what. Because there could be, like I said, if there's a partner who has a lot of funds, and he wants to contribute to helping you do things, that doesn't mean he has to give all his money to you. That's not how that works. And then if you are talking about monogamy, the point we took from that is when it comes to unconditional love, if you want to have unconditional love, finances need to be obviously something you think about, but not in the forefront of every decision you make, because you want to find good partners. And we could talk about how to do that with a little bit of help and guidance. Talk to some people. Relationship coaches are all over the place. Okay. And like I said, I have consultations. They are $25 for 30 minutes. It's just like $1 a minute. That sounds like a lot, but it's not. And I also will build you a little portfolio, and we could start touching some things, and then you can see if you like me and I like you, and then we can see if we can do this thing, baby. See if we can get you started on the right road to a successful relationship or relationships. Okay, so we want to take that, and then also financially making little changes to your finances will be very, very helpful. If it's just organizing your subscriptions, taking them back. A lot of people don't realize how many subscriptions they pay for. Not always going out to eat. These are things, relationship between food. We're gonna have that discussion too later this week. But eating food out. Eating out all the time is very expensive if you don't see it. Even if you're going to McDonald's, especially McDonald's is like $10 a meal now. Okay, these things are not cheap. Doing that over and over every day, you can easily spend hundreds of dollars in a week. Think about food prepping. That'll cut your costs down. All these things that you can do financially to help you. This in general can be applied in relationships and help them be better, because the less stress you have, especially financial stress, the better it is with your relationships, because that's one less thing you have to worry about. I don't think we talked about this, but I'll just hit it up real quick. But sometimes people do a thing where they'll do like split the bills. Someone will be like, oh, I'm in charge of the rent and the car payments, and you pay the electricity and the cable. I have seen that. But that also this is kind of weird, because what if you have someone pay the car off and then now they have one less bill and they don't have to pay the other bills? So kind of some people divide it in half. Some people have one bank account and they say, okay, well, we have to, all of the bills come out that bank account. By the end of the month, we need to have, $1,700 in that bank. So let's do every paycheck we put in this much, all those things. So communicating is very important through this process. Finding someone who just even have someone at the bank help you with some things or try to guide you. I know it sounds crazy. You can go to the bank and sometimes they have like little classes for financial awareness, being aware of where you are. I know people are scared to find out information. Remember, even if you don't do anything with it, information is always important, because you don't have to do nothing with it, but knowing it is important because it can make you move differently. It makes you move differently. Things, so that's important. Like I said, if you guys want to hear a little bit more about finances, me get a little bit deeper about how I break it down, or how does it look with my partners, because my partners don't all stay with me, and I'm adding people to my pod. I'm all kinds of things that are happening. So while I'm doing all that, Like, what does that look like financially? You know, does one partner with more money financially dictate what I do or who I talk to more than the other? No, like I said. So these things are very important to have. But I am going to wrap it up now, my darlings, sweet, sweet darlings. But I do want to say thank you for checking me out. If you're new, I appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with me, even if you were at work. Renaissance Woman, thank you for checking me out. Chef E Black, anyone else who just have a second to type in, I appreciate you anyway. Thank you guys for taking the time to like and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications. I want you guys to have a great, great rest of the week. We're on Tuesday, so it just began, but it doesn't mean that it is so boring and annoying. We're going to have a great, successful week, and this is just the beginning of that. So please be blessed and have a wonderful day.